mentioned that song Mr. Spaceman by the Byrds. It's a bit like the Byrds meets a Loving Spoonful. Kind of goes something like this from memory. Hey, Mr. Spaceman, won't you please take me along? I won't do nothing wrong. Hey, Mr. Spaceman, won't you please take me along for a ride? Something like that. Okay, so we're back to Elon Musk by the looks of things, Mr. Spaceman. X marks the spot. There's something about X that means no. X means no, 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 don't do that. And so wherever you've got something bad going on, you've got an X. And it's interesting, Tesla's not called X, is it? But we've got SpaceX and we've got X. Both of which I feel are complete waste of money, waste of time and effort, yet something that the planet and Mr. Musk needs to learn, I suppose, so that's why he's doing it. Now, I didn't finish talking about these electric cars and the car issue. I only sort of touched on it. And so I want to talk about the electric car thing because, you know, I don't just, I said, you know, you've seen what I do with my boat. I've done all the electric stuff and now I'm not that too fussed about electricity. You know, who wants a car that's like an electric drill, you know? Now, electric drill is something that has become inexpensive, you know, electrical stuff with batteries and drills and all that stuff. It's all become inexpensive, right? But a Tesla, I think the cheapest one, I'm not 100% sure, but I did see on a video the other day, somebody say the cheapest one was 40,000. I don't think it's that much, but it's a lot of money, and it has been a lot of money. And I want to say that there's no way that an electric drill car should cost more than a combustion engine car. It should be cheaper, a lot cheaper, because, you know, we've proven this by how cheap electric motors are, and electric stuff is cheap, right? Yeah, what these people want to do, the Elon Musk, the Teslas are now, is they want to sell cars whilst funding an alternative project of their own making. They didn't ask anybody whether they wanted it or not. And that is the AI and the self-driving car, right? This is a huge, huge, huge undertaking to develop all this software. And it's mega billions. And so every Tesla car that's sold is not just paying for the car, it's funding all of this research and development, not only in the AI and everything, but also in the car technology itself, which is going through the roof astronomically, the number of changes that are being made to cars, making everything that's been done in the past completely obsolete, making the part suppliers obsolete. For example, they changed the normal wiring in a car, the normal accessories that a car uses, from 12 volt to 48 volt. Well, what's the point of that? You know, we had 6 volts, then we found out 6 volts wasn't enough, so we went to 12 volts, and that's been fine, perfectly fine, for decades. It doesn't need to go to 48 volts. It's only because Tesla has all this like high voltage stuff now that it's moving this stuff into this area. And because it wants to use the same technology in its spacecraft, in its satellites, all this stuff. And so it's funding all of this on the backs of Tesla. Okay? So a Tesla car, that's why Elon Musk says he doesn't want to make the people's car. Why not? Why shouldn't he want to do that? That's what he should want to do. He should be wanting to make cars and eliminate all the plastic rubbish that's in them so that they don't break down every 5 minutes. He should be looking at ways to improve the quality of cars, to reduce the size of cars. Thank goodness Teslas aren't as big, but they are getting bigger. Look at the Cybertruck, they're all getting bigger. There's been a backlash, complete backlash against this whole movement because people have seen that it's just a con. It's just going to cost a huge amount of money to buy these things. They're not going to be worth anything when they're ready to be passed on to the poor, because normally when people make cars, the poor are the ones that recycle them. Okay, so when the rich people have finished driving their new cars, and then their second-hand cars, then it comes third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth-hand cars. Eventually, instead of chucking them in a landfill, the poor end up taking them over, looking after them as classics, yeah? And so the poor people are the historians on the planet. They're looking after the old cars, like I'm looking after the old computers and the old cameras here, okay? So the rich intellectual types, what they want is they just want to consume, consume, consume. And what this consuming is doing, because they're rich, they operate on a completely different monetary basis to what the poor do. And there's only a few of them, but they've got all the money. Now this means that they set the prices. And so the prices are set by the rich, but have to be suffered by the poor, okay? So, you know, they put my pension up. I think it's probably gone up since I've got started 3 years, about 10% in 3 years. You know, the food prices in the supermarket, they're doubling annually. You have no idea. There's nothing in the supermarket under £3. Nothing. It's $2.99, you know. It used to be 99p and 1.99. Now it's 2.99. Everything is price. So it's the rich that are pushed it up, because the poor, if you go there, the poor, they're not buying any of this stuff. They're just throwing it all in a landfill at the end of the day, just throw it all out, put some new stuff in there, yeah. Those people haven't got the money to buy it at the supermarket. And the rich are the ones that push the prices up. Push the prices of food up, they push the prices of houses, accommodation, holidays. A poor person can't afford a holiday anymore because all the holiday homes have all been bought up. And if you want to go anywhere in Cornwall, it's like the cheapest possible place you can find is £99 a night. A night. A night. You know? 8 nights and my pension's gone. Yeah, what's the logic to that? Okay, and so there has to be some kind of alteration in this process, yeah, or there has to be protection of the poor against the rich to prevent them from owning these houses, from coming into areas and spending their money the way they do. Somehow, I don't know what you do. Price controls? Maybe. Maybe you have to have price controls on houses. I don't know. If you just let the market decide, then the rich people just push the prices up so that they, you know, it's okay for the rich, they're balancing out the price of houses. But it's only the price of houses for the rich. Poor's finished. They can't buy a house ever. It's the end of them. Landlords forever, you know. And then the landlord prices, they're all owned by the rich, so the rich just like, well, I paid all this money for it, now I've got to service my mortgage, yeah? Well, they shouldn't have a mortgage for a start, but they all do, because they can have a mortgage, they can buy more houses, yeah? this whole business of money for nothing and your chicks for free, it's got to go. It's got to be legislated against. Yeah, people can't make money for nothing. And you know, that's the American dream. That's the American dream. Money for nothing. It's like, well, what you do is you make some money, then you buy a few houses, get a few rental properties, passive income. No, it's got to be illegal. It cannot be allowed. It cannot be. It cannot be allowed. Not possible. And it's possible to put the ownership of everybody's house back into the hands of the poor. You can simply lend them the money and take the rent, you know. The rent can pay off over 100 years, 200 years if necessary. It can be done. Once everybody owns their own house again, there shouldn't be any home ownership anyway, really, but whilst we have the system the way it is, it's necessary to move in stages, okay? So the first stage is to get the prices of houses back to what they should be in some way, and stop the rich affecting the price of anything. Now, one solution is to make them not rich, just to make them the same as everybody else. So now Tesla, instead of making cars for the rich, making cars for everybody. You know, everybody needs a car. You know, you cannot live in this world without a car. Can't. I've got a bicycle, but I wouldn't dream of going on a bicycle on these roads here. It's too dangerous. You need a protective shell around you. And so it doesn't matter how much money you've got. If you can't afford a car, you have to have one anyway. So you have to buy some old car, yeah, that somebody's thrown away. Just in case you don't use it. The poor don't use their cars. The poor's cars sit ready for emergency use only. Put a bit of petrol in, use it. 6 months later, you do it again. That's what the poor do. Now, if you go to the insurance company and say, I want insurance, but I only use my car twice a year. So, well, it doesn't matter, you're still going to pay the full price. That's the end of it. Yeah. That's because the government has legislated that you have to have insurance. Because if they said that, you say, well, stuff you, mate, I'm not going to have insurance. And you should be able to do that. You should be able to say, no insurance. But no, they've got a law. You've got to have insurance. It's not right. It's just not right. If people have to have insurance, when I left school, you had to have insurance, and this was in South Africa, it wasn't here. And in South Africa you had to have comprehensive insurance, it was called, third-party comprehensive insurance. It was a little sticker. You just went to the post office and you got a sticker, you put it on your windscreen. And it wasn't expensive, you know, it was just like cheap. Can't do that anymore, you know, it's not cheap. Insurance isn't cheap. So you can end up in a situation where you're being paid a pension or minimum wage or whatever. It's not enough to pay for your car, even if it's an old car, your registration insurance annually. It's not enough. And the petrol and the servicing and the warrant of fitness and the repairs and maintenance and all that. It's not enough. But we live in a country where the whole countryside, we used to have tracks and that you could run a horse down. You could have a horse. Don't need to register a horse, don't insure a horse, you know. But no, you can't have a horse anymore because they made all the roads. So if they cover the whole land in roads, then they force everybody to have a car. So they've got to account for that in the amount of money that people get paid. People have to be paid enough. Everybody, pensioners, the unemployed, everybody has to be paid enough to have a car, because you can't live in the modern age without a vehicle. It's not possible. There's just some things that you just cannot do without a vehicle. You can go through and get away with not using a vehicle for months. But there comes a point in time where you need a vehicle. And you can't hire a vehicle for this purpose. It's not practical to do this. You've got to have a vehicle available in case of emergency. What happens if you have to go to the hospital or something? You can't rely on anybody else. You can't rely on any of the services anymore. You have to be able to take yourself to the A&E. You need a car. You've got to be able to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, get in your car and drive yourself to the A&E. You get to my age, you've got to do it. And so the amount people earn, are paid, the basic income of people, which should be provided by the state, the basic income should be provided by the state, because everybody has to eat, everybody needs a roof over their head, everybody needs a car. That's the bottom line in this world. Everybody needs that. And so why don't we just pay everybody that from the government, okay? And then when you go and get a job, that pays the extra that you need to go out and have a good time, if you want to do that, right? Now what's wrong with that system? There'll always be people who want to go and, make some more money, go and do something, where they buy something else, go on some overseas trip or something, or get a better car than what you can get on the government handout, yeah? At the moment, people are forced to work in jobs which they hate. They don't want to do it. It's not right livelihood. It's necessary for a human being to be able to choose a living which doesn't damage nature, that is in accord with what they believe in. Their religion, if you like. You're an atheist is your religion, or you're a Christian is your religion, or you just you just believe in a greater source, divine source in the universe. Whatever it is, everybody has a religion of some kind. My religion is drinking beer and, waking up with a headache every morning. It's your religion. It's you say, well, this is what I want to do with this is how I live my life. Yeah, that's what your religion is. And everybody needs to be free to pursue what that religion is. And some people, their religion says they can't work in anything that's causing problems, destroying nature. And there isn't a single occupation you can be part of now. There isn't destroying nature. So the only thing that you can do is become part of the new media, for example, which is what I'm doing, which is just to make videos and dedicate your life to solving the problem so that we can live in a world that's worth doing something in. You can't work with competitive people. It's not about competing. Nature doesn't compete. Wasps compete. Bees work together. There's two sides of nature, right? There's a competitive worm side, the revolting side of nature, competitive side, and then there's a cooperative side of nature. And we ought to be, as human beings, we ought to be the highest thing in the cooperative side of nature. So if we see an animal that's got his head stuck in a fence, we do something about it. The animal can't save itself. We have to do that. That's our job. We have a purpose and function here. Yeah. If we see that the wood is accumulating under the trees and it's getting rubbishy, we're supposed to take the wood and burn it. Use it for something useful. Yeah. We're supposed to, when there's too many fish in the sea, we're supposed to take what we need to eat and eat them. There's too many reindeer, we're supposed to take the reindeer, use their skins, just the weak ones, just the ones that we're able to catch with our hands. And all the strong reindeer, well, they all run away, don't they? You know? I mean, it's not survival of the fittest. It's not that at all. It's just there has to be a way for nature to eliminate weak people, weak fish that, you know, a bit sick or something like that. They don't want to spend their life sick. They'd rather be out of here and another fish. Give me a new body. Give me a nice young body, you know? Not Mr. Spaceman, no. Make some kind of robot, put my brain in the robot. now I'm Joe Biden with a, you know, an Iron Man Joe Biden or something. Yeah. Because I got a lot of money and I got a lot of power and I can have my brain looked after in some kind of machine that allows me to live forever. This is the ideas of the rich. This is what they want to do. And it is so very selfish and very stupid. And nature's already solved the problem of derelict bodies. You know, you think there's no solution to that. You were born into this universe. You don't think there's some solution that comes when you die in this universe. My God, hasn't God, the cod, the great cod in the sky, haven't you been given everything that you need in life? Why would you doubt that you will get it in death? You get what you need. That's a law, you know. That Mick Jagger song, yeah. You don't get what you want. You want to live forever. That's a bad thing to want. You want to die whilst you're still comfortable in the body. You want to have a comfortable death. Fair enough. Fair enough. I'm getting old. I haven't got many teeth left. But I don't go to the dentist. I don't worry about that. I suffer what small pain I have and hope that it won't be too much. And a little bit of pain is what you need sometimes to tell you something. Tell you to get up out of your chair now and again. Move and turn the camera off. Thanks for watching.